I'd like to go ahead and welcome everyone to the new year, the sequel to 2020 known as 2020 Part 2, The Chaos Continues, otherwise known as 2021. And I figured the best way to start the new year on this channel is just to kind of check in with you guys and do an update video so you have an idea of what to expect in this year. I also want to make part of this video Q&A section, so I've gathered a bunch of questions for you guys here that I'm going to answer. I did get a lot of questions, so if your question didn't get answered, it's just because there's too many of them. So I just picked a couple of them and we'll discuss it all. And I feel like it's been a while since I've talked to you guys in kind of like a scriptless video. If you've been following me on social media, I got super sick last week. I'm still congested. I still feel like crap, but I'm on the tail end of this thing, thankfully. Whether it's COVID or the flu or a really bad cold, I don't know. I took a COVID test, it came out negative, then it turns out I might have taken it too early, so I'm quarantining. It all just sucks. But that's really how you can define all of 2020. Especially when it came to content creation behind the scenes, last year was an absolute nightmare. And I'm going to do a lot of different things this year to make some changes to make it a lot better. From viewer feedback, you guys have been telling me that you enjoyed all the content last year. From a creator point of view behind the scenes, I got to do maybe 20% of the videos that I wanted to do last year for various reasons. Obviously, COVID happened. We couldn't really depend on childcare, so that was another factor while I'm trying to do full-time content. Then during Halloween time, I had my Monster Month, and I wanted to do so much more that I did. And then in the tail end of that month, we got in a car accident, and our car got totaled. Everyone's okay. Got a new car. That's all settled and done with. But that was like 3 weeks of stuff that I had to do while trying to create content. So yeah, 2020 was a mess. The changes I want to make to the channel this year are going to be very in line with my goal of it becoming a well-oiled content creation machine. Right now, the streams are Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And what I'd like to do is have a new video up every Saturday for you guys. Sometimes more depending on any news or anything that happens that week. But at least one video every Saturday. I think it'll take me some time to kind of get that flow going. And one major change that some of you may have noticed that I did, I went through the channel and I unlisted every single live stream. And I've gotten a lot of feedback that by doing that, the videos are easier for you guys to find. That way, when you go to my main page and go to videos or scroll down under home, it's just all the original edited content without the live streams cluttering up everything. I think it's a better change. It looks a lot better. And if you can't make it to the live streams live and you're one of those people that would watch them afterwards, nothing's really changed. They're still there. They just don't show up publicly under uploads anymore. If you go to my main homepage right here and scroll down, I have everything reorganized from scratch, organized by playlists, alphabetized. There's a section here for previous live streams, or you can click on the tab for playlists and everything's organized there in playlists too, and I keep up to date with all of this. I still timestamp chapters in all my streams. The only thing that's changed, you don't get a notification that it's uploaded anymore publicly, and it doesn't clutter up the video feed. And I did want to talk about some of the goals I have this year for the channel. Last year, one of my goals was to really pass 50,000 subs. We definitely blew past that, so I said, hey, you know what? I'll go for 100,000 next. Didn't quite get there by the end of the year, which I totally expected. Perfectly fine. I'm thankful for every single one of you that are here. But that's the goal this year. This year, I want to get to 100K as soon as possible. So let's see what happens. But more importantly, aside from numbers, a lot of the goals that I want for the channel this year are things I wanted for it last year. But for the reasons I stated before, didn't happen. One of my biggest goals is that I want this channel to really become lore central. I want this to be the place for people to come to get all their lore and timeline videos for various things. And I've been consistently doing the Mortal Kombat timeline series, and that's kind of the template that I'm going to be using moving forward. Because when you have a universe that's huge, that has so many different moving pieces, I think it's far more interesting plucking a specific part of that universe, telling the story of that, putting it in a playlist, and then having it all kind of put together like almost like a jigsaw puzzle. Star Wars. I want this year to be very heavy on Star Wars lore. That's something I've always wanted to do. I've just never gotten around to it. I'm already working on a video for it. So expect a lot of that this year, along with all kinds of other stuff. What 2021 has in store for the whole timeline lore series, it's going to be less formulaic, I guess you can say. Whereas before, I would have, let's say, Assassin's Creed Timeline Part 1 through 7. And I don't know, let's say part 2 would be about the hidden ones, and it covers Assassin's Creed Origins and Valhalla all the way through in one video. But instead of doing that, what I'd like to do is take specific pieces of that universe, focus on that mainly, and tell the story as detailed as possible. One video specifically will focus on Eivor the Wolf-Kissed, which will tell the whole Valhalla story in incredible detail, and kind of bookend it with the events just before and the events just after that lead into the next video. And overall, that's going to lead me to dropping the chapter numbers, because then I run into the situation where when they add lore in the future to the series, everything's going to be numbered, and then we're going to have these awkward little chapters in between. So I'm just going to drop the numbers all together and have it all organized in the playlist in chronological order. It's going to be a really cool change. I think you guys are really going to dig it. And one thing this does for the channel is, instead of having like a 7-part series that takes like 6 months to finish, and then there's like another 6 months before I can make another one, now there's just going to be a constant flow of videos. So, for example, on one weekend you might have a piece of the Zelda timeline, and the next weekend you might have a piece of Assassin's Creed, and then maybe some Star Wars lore, then maybe some Mortal Kombat lore. Now there's always something kind of leaking weekly. I don't know if that makes any sense talking about it out loud, but in my head it makes sense. So just have notifications on. You guys will see all the videos. Another goal I had last year that I just never got around to, that I plan to do it this year, is I want to extend the lore to other fighting games too. Instead of just doing Mortal Kombat, I want to go ahead and start Killer Instinct, Street Fighter, among some others. So, like I said, it's going to be less formulaic. It's going to be more varied. And that's always been a core tenet of this channel, is variety. And as far as game reviews and movie reviews, I am still going to be doing those. I would actually like to do more of those this year. Right now, I'm actually working on a movie review for Creepshow for the holiday special. Yeah, I know it's past the holidays. I was sick. I couldn't work on anything, whatever. We'll just do it now. And with game reviews, I'm going to be a little bit more selective. I might review some new games that come out and whatnot, but what would make a really entertaining review? Like the next one I'm going to be doing is Street Fighter, the movie, the game. I've been playing it, and I have so much to say. One of my favorite recent video game reviews I did was Mortal Kombat 4 on the Game Boy Color. It was just so unbelievably bad that it makes a fun topic to talk about. Expect to see more content like that in the future. If there's any games you want me to cover, let me know in the comment section. Overall, that covers some of the more important topics I wanted to cover this year, and what to expect, and some of the challenges I went through last year and how I'm going to address it this year. Let's do a Q&A. So let's get into the first one. What is your biggest influence outside of YouTube creators? You know, that's a good question. And I'm going to say a person that normally people wouldn't really expect to be a source of inspiration, but I'll explain. I've seen so many people, including a handful in my own personal life, that have tried YouTube because they see others succeed, and they give it like 6 months or a year, don't grow how fast they want, and just quit. And I think that's what happens whenever you focus too much on the number side of things. Although YouTube, yeah, numbers are important. Of course, money is going to be a factor in this. If someone tells you it's not a factor and they're trying to go full-time on YouTube, they're just being dishonest with you. That's the truth. But to get to that point where you want to make YouTube a job, assuming that's what you want to do, you can have all the skill in the world, but really, it's up here. A lot of it has to do with your own mentality. You really have to think of the why that you're doing this, what you want to accomplish, what goals you set for yourself. And I think one of the people that best represents that is Arnold Schwarzenegger. It might be funny to some because, yeah, he's this big, beefy action star, and he's full of cheesy one-liners in his movies. He was Mr. Freeze in Batman and Robin. But in all seriousness, if you dig into the story of the actual man and his journey to where he got now, it's pretty inspirational. And I recommend you go on YouTube and search for Arnold Schwarzenegger's 6 Rules of Success, where he kind of lays out his mentality, showing that to be successful, you have to decide what you want to be, not what others want you to be, and what mindset you need to achieve that. You kind of have to break the rules of what's considered normal in your society, because if you don't, otherwise I would still be in a regular 9-to-5 day job like you're supposed to, right? Next question. If Konami would partner with Ubisoft to make a Castlevania in the vein of Assassin's Creed, would you be into it? That's exactly what I've suggested. Imagine Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And what I mean by that is an open world on that scale, but you're in Europe, and Dracula's forces are invading, and you have multiple weapons like swords and whips, holy crosses, whatever. But with that style of gameplay in that world, where you're going around saving different villages that are under attacks by werewolves, that's one thing in the Castlevania series that you never see. Dracula pops back up, you go to his castle, fight him the second he wakes up and kill him, and then he goes right back to wherever he goes. But what if we actually see the repercussions of what happens when Dracula returns? What would be your ideal Resident Evil game, and which mechanics from the previous games would you mix together? It's kind of already happened. My ideal Resident Evil game would be a mix of the classic survival horror elements mixed with the third-person action shooting elements of 4, 5, and 6. And that kind of already happened with Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake, because that's exactly what those are. But as far as a perfect Resident Evil game, what I want to see, aside from a remake of Code Veronica, which everyone wants to see, but what I want to see specifically, how about we take Resident Evil 0 and Resident Evil 1, remake that with this new style, but combine it all into one game. One full experience where half the game is Bravo Team, and yes, you play as different Bravo Team members in the mansion. And then the second half of the game would be the Spencer Mansion incident. Oh, and a Resident Evil Survivor remake on PlayStation VR with the gun support. What's been the most unexpected things about your YouTube career, and where do you hope to be in a year? Well, as far as where do I hope to be in a year, I feel like I kind of already answered that with the goals I have for the channel, but most unexpected thing about my YouTube career has been the friends you meet along the way. And that's really something you don't really think about when you start YouTube. You're going to meet a lot of other creators. You're going to get to know a lot of other creators. You're going to get to know a lot of your own viewers. You're going to meet people in the industry, various different industries actually, and you're going to get to know them very well. All of that to me was completely unexpected, because when I started YouTube, it was just focused on make video after video after video. And then next thing you know, you've formed a ton of different relationships with people that you know personally. It just reminds me of that stereotype that people have, that people that spend time on the internet all day or watching YouTube have no social lives, and it's complete opposite for me. This is the most social I've ever been in my life, is being a YouTube content creator. Are you planning on having collaborations on your channel? Maybe. To be honest, collaborations, I feel like there's this mentality that collaborations with bigger content creators will result in just a massive boost, and collaborations really don't do anything. But they are fun to do, so I'm not opposed to them. To me, the challenge of collaborations is planning it out. I'm constantly so busy with working on content that it's hard to really find time to plan a collaboration with someone else, and then planning said thing with the other person and figuring out how to put it all together. Am I opposed to them? No, not at all. Will I do them in the future? Maybe, but it's honestly not a huge priority. Would you be opposed to doing community streams for games that have multiplayer campaigns? I actually get that question a lot. So basically, if I stream Halo Reach, am I going to play with 3 other people online during the stream? Probably not. Depends. The challenge there is this. With a live stream, it's important to kind of have control over how the live stream's going to keep your audience entertained. Like, for example, if you bring other people into a multiplayer game like Resident Evil 5, I personally enjoy the challenge of going through a game like that that's meant to be co-op, but playing it single player. And I feel like a lot of viewers on the channel also enjoy watching that aspect of the streams, the challenge of one player having to take this game down. But there's so many variables to control when other people are in the mix on the stream. For example, let's say we're streaming Halo 2 co-op on Legendary, and one player is just completely awful at it. One player's got a bad connection. And also you have to communicate with other players on a headset to be really effective, so then the live chat's getting ignored more than I want it to be. So there's a lot of variables there that I can't control, and for a streamer, it's important to have control over things like that. So on the main live streams, I probably won't do that, but I don't know, maybe sometime on a community stream, which is why I do the community streams. Those are more free-for-alls, anything goes, you know. I just jump online and play a couple rounds of Smash with you guys and whatnot. What are game genres you like and don't like? I'm not a sports guy. You're never going to watch me stream Madden or FIFA. It's just not going to happen ever on the channel. I don't care for Battle Royale type online multiplayer only games. I get bored real quick playing those. I don't really like sim kind of games that have no ending to them, like The Sims. I like having a storyline and a beginning, middle, and end to a video game. I'm not big into like MMOs where, again, there's no real goal. It's just endless leveling, grinding, and whatnot. I'm not huge into JRPGs either, but there is a small clause there. I will still play some, and there are still some I enjoy, like the Final Fantasy series I like. So we'll put an asterisk by that one. But as far as genres, I like pretty much everything else. There's a lot of video games I like. I love first-person shooters. I love fighting games. I love beat-em-ups. Any parts of your setup you're looking forward to updating in the near future? You know, I was talking about this the other day on stream. I really want to build a new PC. I absolutely don't need to. It's just an itch that I want to scratch. I really have no use for a new PC. What I have now works fine, but I want to upgrade it. So that'll probably happen sometime in the future. And also, I just went through this whole renovation back here and over there and over there and over there. This whole room looks totally different. People have been asking me for a room tour. Reason I haven't done it yet is because you guys see Assassin's Creed statue here for Bayek. I'm still waiting for, there's 3 more coming. Over there is, I believe Ezio's going to go over there. Then we've got Eivor that's going to go here in this empty space. And right behind me, there's the Altair one that the lights on it stopped working, so they're sending me a new base. So I'm waiting for all of that to come here so I can kind of show it off to you guys on camera. Do you like Zelda games? Are you going to do Zelda Timeline? Yes and yes. I want to say that's my favorite Nintendo franchise. I might put it equal with Metroid, though. I think both of those equally are my favorite. And yes, both of those are coming. What's your favorite Resident Evil installment? Resident Evil 2 Classic. I will always say that no matter what happens in the future. Favorite game of all time? I'll give you 2. Mega Man X is my favorite on Super Nintendo. Favorite game of all time, number 1. Number 2 is Final Fight, the first one. Will Monster Month return this year? Yes, but a little different. Last year, when I did Monster Month, I know I overplanned. I know I did. And I knew that going in. I just wanted to get as much of it done as possible. But again, whenever you do that and you plan so much in advance, life happens. There was stuff I wanted to do I didn't get to because obviously in October we got in that car accident. So that was like a week or 2 where I just couldn't do anything. But more importantly, to get all that content done, keep in mind a lot of it was movie reviews. Half of it was copyright claimed, which means it was sitting there being unwatchable for like 2 months before you guys even saw it. So I had been working on all that horror content from April through October. A huge downside to that is that I couldn't get a lot of the other regular videos that I wanted to get done during the year because I was so busy preparing for October. So basically I have all this content that I wanted here that's suffering because I'm working on content that's not going to be watched until the end of the year. There's a couple things I'm doing to address that this year. With Monster Month, what I'm going to do this time is it's not going to be the kind of thing where every single day there's a movie review on the channel like last year. It just requires too much work throughout the year, so everything else is going to take a backseat. I can't do that again. But it's a good thing at the same time, because that month is still going to focus on horror-related content. I'm still going to make that priority. I'm probably going to stream Friday the 13th every Saturday again. But to answer your question, is Monster Month still going to happen in October this year? No. It's going to be the kind of thing where Monster Month never goes away now. What I would do before is, for example, I'd want to review like Friday the 13th part whatever. And I'd be like, well, I'm going to save it for October because that doesn't make sense. It's a horror movie. I'll wait till October and make it part of Monster Month. Now I'm just going to review it. Essentially, I'm not going to be restricting myself from reviewing horror-related content throughout the whole year just to get it all in October. It'll just be a constant thing. So again, with the constant flow of content. So there will be a horror-focused month, but there will also be monsters spread throughout the entire year. What other fighting games have you played besides Mortal Kombat and Dead or Alive? A ton of them. Fighting games, like I said, are my second favorite genre. I think beat-em-ups are my favorite kind of genre of any game ever. Fighting games would be number 2. Mortal Kombat, Dead or Alive, Street Fighter, Tekken, Soul Calibur, King of Fighters. One I want to see back is Bloody Roar. I've always loved fighting games. If you're a child of the early 90s, chances are you love fighting games because those were very heavy in the arcades. What video editing software do you use? I love this question because every time someone asks me that, they're shocked at the answer. Windows Movie Maker. It's old as hell. It's limited as hell. It's basic as hell. But every video that you have seen on this channel that you have liked has been on Windows Movie Maker. Honestly, it's very simple to use. I like it. And I have Adobe Premiere. People tell me, get Adobe Premiere, it's better. I have it. I've used it. Yeah, it does a lot of cool stuff, but like, I'm fine with Windows Movie Maker. I like to use it. And that goes into something that I see a lot of new creators do that I feel is a mistake. I feel a lot of new creators really limit themselves to what they can do because they focus on trying to get the most expensive equipment, the most expensive software for the best video and audio quality. You don't really need all that to do YouTube. You really don't. It's not so much about what program you're using. It's about what the person behind the computer is doing with it. Use whatever works for you. All right, last 2 questions here. What's your favorite and least favorite emulator to use? My favorite emulator to use is Dolphin. I love Dolphin. Dolphin runs GameCube and Wii games. These games that were made in like 480p at most. It actually takes the graphics and runs them internally at like 4K, 8K, whatever you want. And it just looks amazing. It puts the actual console to shame. My least favorite emulators to use are those early 3D game ones, like the PS1 emulator, PCSXE, and the Nintendo 64 emulator, Project 64. They have all kinds of weird issues here and there with certain games, and you have to get all the filters and everything just right, so lines that are supposed to be straight don't look squiggly. It's weird. And if you're stuck on an island playing Sonic 06 or MK Special Forces, which do you choose? I will go in the water and take my chances. And that's it for the Q&A and for this beginning of the year catch-up, if you will. Hopefully that answered any questions that you guys may have and give you guys a sense of direction of where the channel's headed to or where my goals for this year are. If you have any additional questions, leave them in the comment section down below. Drop me a like, subscribe, all that nice stuff. And I hope to see you guys around all year. Since you made it to the end of this video, I assume you enjoyed it, so why don't you go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss any new content. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, links in the description below, and if you'd like to support the channel, you can join my Patreon or become a channel member. This is Fabian, I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.